Good morning, all of you friends. I welcome you to my this session on consumer adoption process. Yeah, because when people, the customers, they buy something, when they adopt something, there is a process, a definite process. Process means a series of events and activities that they undergo that happens before a consumer adopts a particular product or brand. It's part of the consumer behavior. Consumers are emotional, consumers behave rationally. If it is B2B market, the adoption goes through a different kind of a process. And if it is a B2C market, the consumer adoption process is following certain steps. And I am going to discuss those steps with you in this session. So welcome aboard and let's look at how do consumers buy. Yep. The idea is that if the marketer, if a brand, a company understands how consumers adopt a product, then they can tailor make their marketing process, their selling process to the buying process. They can customize their marketing activities to the buying process, the adoption process. So, if you do an exercise about yourself, for example, if you bought anything during last 6 months, which is more than 2000 rupees, and I'm sure we bought a lot of things, a lot of products, a lot of brands or services during last 6 months, more than 2000 rupees. So if you take that example, we can nicely understand how consumers purchase. I am sure you must not have bought anything, a laptop or a smartphone or anything, without recognizing a need. Need recognition is the first step that a consumer goes through. I bought a new laptop because my old laptop wasn't working well. I bought a new pair of walking shoes because I thought fitness is very important and my old pair of shoes was not really that comfortable. The sole was coming out. So, whatever could be the reason, any adoption by the consumer involves and entails that a need has to be felt. Felt need, a psychological need, a deficiency of something. And as I said, psychological. You people might wonder, and you must have heard that Jayalalitha had so many pairs of shoes. Probably she needed them more. Why? Because somebody could be comfortable in the same pair of shoes every now and then, every alternate day, every day. But Jayalalitha probably would feel miserable if she doesn't wear a new pair of shoes on every occasion, every afternoon. And if something like that is there, then you could term that as a psychological felt deficiency, psychologically felt deficiency. Yeah. So consumers, they recognize a need. Without the need, we don't buy anything. Need is, as I have discussed in my market and marketing sessions also earlier, need is at the root of the marketing. And then, to fulfill and cater to that need, there are a lot of options that consumers have. So many options are there. We need to evaluate those options, right? We need to weigh the pros and cons of those options. For example, in case of laptop, I had options like Dell, I had options like HP, Acer, and MacBook. And then, I would look at configuration. I would have to identify what are the criteria which I could utilize for buying a budget that I set for my laptop and the configuration of my laptop. So I needed to evaluate all the options against the criteria and then finally try to reach a conclusion about some product which I can adopt. But before adoption, a typical consumer has a lot of other concerns, doubts about the purchase, and therefore they would like to eliminate the doubts. Friends, even if you buy a packet of bread, you would like to ask the retailer, and you do ask the retailer, that is it fresh? Even if it is offloaded in front of your eyes, still you ask, is it fresh? And you threaten the retailer that if it is not fresh, I will return it to you. Therefore, you are trying to eliminate the doubt. You press the bread, you smell the bread, you check the expiry date, you check the manufacturing date, and you like to smell the freshness of the bread before buying. This is called eliminating doubts. So before you buy a brand of shirt, you take it to the trial room. Before you buy that car or automobile, you take it for a test drive. And this is simply because you need to verify and make sure to yourself that you would be comfortable adopting that product. So having recognized the need, evaluating options, and then eliminating doubts, then only you decide whether you can commit to the purchase. Okay, friends, in marketing, I'm sure you will know that there is something called a perceived risk, and no consumer would like to take the risk unnecessarily. So if you do not deal with that risk or eliminate that risk, that doubt, then probably you suffer from cognitive dissonance, which can turn into customer dissatisfaction if not resolved. So consumer has a buying process, consumers have an adoption process, and adoption process has certain stages, and we need to pass through those stages before we really buy something. Now this was from the consumer's point of view. From the marketer point of view, as I said, it requires tailoring. Therefore, the 5 stages you can term as, something like this, that a consumer needs product awareness. Because if I'm not aware, why will I buy that? If I was not aware about Sensodyne as something which solves the problem of sensitive teeth, then I probably cannot buy Sensodyne. I need to be aware about Sensodyne. I need to be aware that Colgate has Ved Shakti as an Ayurvedic paste. If I do not even have awareness, I cannot adopt it. So it starts with product awareness, the first stage. And then only after awareness, customer has to make or find some interest into the product. So the awareness will lead to interest. Somebody who is not even aware will not be interested. So marketer's job, a marketing manager's job is to create awareness and then create interest of the consumer in the product. And interest happens when I know that other toothbrushes are not good for my sensitive teeth. They are harsh on my teeth. And therefore, I become interested towards Sensodyne toothpaste and toothbrushes because this range takes care of my sensitive sensation in the teeth. So interest develops. Interest will develop only when you are able to relate the product with the customer requirements or the needs or the specific problems that the customer suffers. And then, as I said, customer again would like to evaluate this product against others. So I would like to check that is there any other toothbrush or toothpaste which is meant for sensitive teeth? Is there any soap which is like Dove, which moisturizes, which is not having harmful chemicals? Okay, maybe it is pears from the same company, or maybe it is Vival, Fiamma de Vils, or maybe it is some other soap, Palmolive Natural. So I need to evaluate and I need to consider different alternatives and choices that I have, then only I make a decision. Same thing is about the bread. So I would like to decide whether I should go for a bread made of wheat or full grain or maida, or I need a bread which is having fortified vitamins, minerals, or this or that, because now you know that a lot of value added differentiated products are there in every category. And having evaluated, if the evaluation works in my favor, I may be motivated to go for a trial of the product. So what is trial? Trial is maybe I buy a small pack if it is a shampoo or soap or something like that, or I don't buy bulk. I try it out. But in case of shirt, I don't even buy. Before buying, I take it to the trial room and I try it out there. As I said, in case of car also, that test drive is basically a trial. And having done that, then I think I'm at a stage where I can commit to the purchase decision and I can say that, oh, this suits me and I think I can adopt this product, this brand. This, which is a product adoption stage for a consumer. So necessarily always consumers should go through certain stages before making a final commitment into the relationship, not just the transaction. Yeah. And as I said, I will be discussing each of these stages one by one, so that, and with examples, so that we understand it fully well as to how do consumers adopt and what can marketers do in their strategies, tactics, and approaches to appeal to the consumers to buy their merchandise, their offerings, because marketers are all out in the market to induce trials, seduce the customers to, or make them aware, make them try, give them sales promotion bids and something like that, and then finally make them buy. But that cannot happen successfully if a marketer does not understand the consumer adoption process. So let us look at the product awareness stage. And what happens in this stage? The product exists. Yeah. Individuals become aware that the product exists. Because if individuals are not even aware, then they cannot be expected to buy. And this happens through a variety of ways. For example, advertising. The fundamental purpose of advertising is to inform people that a product is there. So through advertisements, we get exposed to the fact that a product exists, or a word of mouth by somebody, a publicity or a media report. So if read in the newspaper or TV that XYZ company is launching a new sanitizer, or they have converted their liquor manufacturing, beer manufacturing facility into sanitizer making facility, and this is the brand name, then I think we get awareness. So the major tools of creating awareness by the marketers are basically communication tools. If you have a product and don't communicate about it, it becomes like winking at people in the dark. So you need to make them aware that you exist, a brand X exists, and therefore advertising, PR, etc., can be useful in the media, yeah, or in the newspapers where a press release is there. This announces that a product has arrived, a brand is born. And when this awareness gets created, consumers can recall, top of mind recall. For example, if I ask you what are the 3 top of mind products, brands that come to your mind when it is a mobile phone, smartphone. So people have some brands in mind, and which basically means that awareness of those brands is high. And then I can ask you that, do you know some more brands? So if, since you are aware, you will be talking about them. If you're not aware, you cannot actually speak of them. So after awareness comes interest. So simple awareness is only awareness, it's knowledge. Consumers know about it. Consumers know that a brand exists, a product exists. But it does not mean that people will buy it. People cannot buy if they don't even get interested into it. So the products need an interesting value proposition. Why? So that the consumers can feel motivated to get more information about the product. For example, an electric vehicle. You will not gather information about that vehicle if you are not interested in buying an electric vehicle. So customers are motivated to get more information about what are the features of this new product. Okay, so they make a list of the features which the product has. They go through the features. Not only the features, every feature has an advantage. So they look at the advantages of those features, because features have advantages. If a pen is uh, having a grip, the advantage is that the pen will not slip, and therefore the benefit that the handwriting will be good. And if the customer is a student, the student can get more marks. So you look at the sequence that the feature gets converted into an advantage, gets converted into a benefit. Now this understanding of the benefit happens only when the student or the customer is interested in the product. So after awareness, interest. Interest in what? Interest in features, advantages, and benefits. So that the customer spends more time gathering more information about the product features and advantages and benefits, and depending on how much interest is sparked by the product, the customer in that case will like to compare it with other products which are already existing in the market. So that takes us to the next step, because when you are interested in buying something, when you have gathered information about product X, then you would like to compare it with product Y, product Z. So therefore, evaluation is the next necessary step. And in evaluation, as I have earlier also hinted, criteria plays a role. Your budget plays a role. Yeah, availability of the product plays a role. The suitability of the product plays a role. The taste of the product, if it is an eatable, plays a role. The color of the product, if it is a garment, etc., plays a role. So you basically evaluate the product against your specific needs, against your budget, against your criteria, and then consider if the benefits offered by product X are better than or over and above others, so that you happen to get more value for your purchase. Now, this is very important stage, product evaluation. Without product evaluation, people cannot be expected to go further. Okay, so in front of every intelligent human activity, consumer activity, before adoption, a careful evaluation is must. I carefully evaluated that I will be paying higher rate of interest to HDFC home loan as compared to SBI and other nationalized banks. But I still went ahead with HDFC because they are experts at home loan. They were the first ones to get into this. They have services, value-added services like products, the property search group, etc. So basically, this is what helps you evaluate the product in your own eyes vis-a-vis the alternatives that exist. And having evaluated, as I said, you need a trial, product trial, because without trial, I cannot commit. Therefore, you know that in Indian context, it is difficult for a consumer to buy a large sachet bottle, or Heinz launched its tomato ketchup, so one will not buy 57 varieties of Heinz, all full 1 kilogram bottles. So if you want to try a new variety, then for the trial, maybe you would like to buy a smaller bottle or just a sachet, a smaller pack, because a smaller pack does not involve much risk. So therefore, trials are very, very important. Now, how do marketers actually create trials? You must have seen that some companies, they give free packs, free consumer promotion packs, smaller packs as free gifts. The sole idea is that they want customers to try their brands. Sometimes when you go to a retail shop or a mall, then in the hypermarket, you must have been offered that, ma'am, sir, would you like to try this coffee? Would you like to try this? So they actually make people try the newer varieties and tastes, because without trying, you cannot buy. If you like the taste, you may buy. So this is the sole reason behind trials. And in case of trials, you need to throw a bait, like you throw a bait to a fish in the pond, because you want to catch the fish. Same way, if you want a customer to adopt your brand, you need that they should at least try out your product, so that you can check with them, how did they like it, is there something that can be improved, or if they really liked it, then they may move ahead and buy, make the first purchase, which is called consumer adoption of the product. So in this product adoption, the customer decides that, okay, it is safe for me. The product is as expected. It is likely to fulfill my need. And therefore, this customer is happy to commit some money to the purchase, without which the customer feels as if, they have been cheated, they have duped. The marketers have duped the customers, and therefore the marketers have to understand the typical consumer adoption process. Right? So summing up what I can say, we can say that consumer adoption process has 5 steps, starting from awareness. Second step is interest, and after interest is evaluation. After evaluation is trial, and after trial is adoption. So nobody ever adopts a product without trying. I'm now going reverse. Have you thought of buying shoes without trying the shoes? Now that is happening on e-commerce online, but that is where the marketers are taking care that it's easy return policy, no questions asked. So if the shoe pinches or it's a wrong size, because I cannot offer you trial in online, therefore if you want consumers to adopt your shoes, then you have to offer them an alternative of the trial, which is easy return policy. So otherwise, trial only can lead to adoption. And nobody will ever try. Why will I try? If I have not even decided that this is the best choice. So people would first like to evaluate before trying. You don't go for test drive of every vehicle. You don't take every brand of shirt to the trial room. You evaluate that Raymond's cotton shirts will suit you. You decide, you evaluate that black Bata shoe is going to be the better one for you. So only after evaluation you try. So evaluation precedes trials. No trial without evaluation. No evaluation at all. No evaluation without interest. So if people have to evaluate your insurance plan, first and foremost, they must get interested in buying insurance. That means they must realize that, okay, there is a need for insurance. But the need for insurance, the different kinds of products, whether it is a term plan or pension plan or children's plan, is all dependent upon the awareness of the individual about the availability of variety of plans, right? So a particular company, insurance company, when it has to make people aware about its plans and the concept of insurance, they spread awareness. When awareness is low, interest will be low, trial will be low, adoption will be low. So you can look at, friends, any product category of your choice. Let's talk about electric vehicles. And we look at the adoption rate of those vehicles, or we look at adoption rate of green products, organic products. So why a lot of consumers are not going in for organic and green products? Because first and foremost, they may not be trying those products, or having tried, they might be feeling that it is no better than the non-organic general products. So trials are must, evaluations are must, interest is must. If consumers think that environment is important, environment friendliness is an important cause to and closer to their heart, then I think these consumers can look at going ahead with green products. So any category of products, even in B2B, how does Maruti adopt JK tires in its car assembly? Because they have also tried JK tires. They have used them, they have evaluated them. They got interested about studying tires and the life of the tires in their cars. And they have been aware, because they, being an original equipment manufacturers, since tire is an important component of the car, they have been aware, and the tire companies made personal selling efforts to let them know about a lot of brands of tires which are available. And therefore, I think the same stages are gone through even in B2B markets. So with that, I can only say that consumer adoption process is a very important activity for every consumer. Marketers must understand this process so that they can be effective in their marketing efforts. Without good understanding of consumer adoption process, it is quite likely that marketers may make mistakes in their approaches and strategies of marketing. So thank you so much for your patient hearing. Hope you learned something meaningful in this session. Thank you.